Hey everyone, welcome back to the Midwifery Wisdom Podcast. In today's conversation, Augustine is chatting with Allison, who is an experienced traveling midwife from Canada. And if this episode stirs something in you for the travel lifestyle, then do join us for Midwifery on the Move, our ongoing webinar series about traveling midwives. You can sign up on our website, www.midwiferywisdom.com.
I feel like we got to give a little backstory to this because this is going to be a super random episode, but I'm for it. I'm showing up for it.
Yeah.
Well, Allison, first, I would love to set the stage. And I've discovered a few truths, and I wonder if they're true for you. It doesn't matter where I go or what country I'm in, or even if I don't speak the language, midwives are my favorite people, like full stop.
Yeah.
Same?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? And it's like we recognize each other, or there's this simpatico that happens that's hard to verbalize. But whether they're bidans in Indonesia or the palikiki in Hawaii or Yordamata in Danish or patera in Spanish, it doesn't matter what they call themselves. It's like we are a different species, I think.
I think we're just fighting for women. That's what everyone's got, this crazy fight in them, which is amazing. They have these crazy stories behind them.
Yeah, the stories just represent the reality that we live, right? We live on the edge of reality. We're at the threshold between the worlds, like we are a special breed. I wanted today's episode to be an exploration about that crazy connection that we have with midwives. We'll tell the story of how you and I connected in just a minute. About this edge of reality that we exist, that creates all these stories and all this magic. And then in order to do what we do, I think all midwives must have this truly adventurous spirit. And you and I are living adventurous lives. And so I just wanted to kind of go into that. And that's my idea for today.
Yeah, well, let's talk sailing, midwifery, adventure.
I know, all the things, all the layers. Well, you just out of the blue reached out to me, and I love this. And this is what happens when you see another midwife. You're like, I know you. If I don't know you, I want to know you. So you reached out to me on a random sailing website because I'm now crewing for a number of boats. In 2025 is my year on the water. So thank you for reaching out. It's pretty awesome. And second of all, let's get into it. So let's do introductions first. Allison, tell us who you are, where you are, and what you're all about.
Yeah. So I am a midwife. I graduated in 2014. I took my then family of 5. I have 3 grown children. So I took them over to New Zealand. So we moved over to New Zealand. I did the midwifery degree over there. My background was accounting, so completely different. And after I had my second child, I'm like, oh, I want to become a midwife. So I went back to school for 7 years. 4 of those were done in New Zealand, and then came back to Canada after that was finished to practice here. Did the bridging program at UBC and practiced here for 6 years, and then wanted to sail, like get out and be on the water again. So I moved back to New Zealand, bought a sailboat, sailed around French Polynesia for a year, and then I missed midwifery. So I came back here, went back into practice, that balance juggling act of the ocean and the mountains. And I
love it.
Missed work, being on the ocean. It's so amazing to be out there, but how busy we are as midwives. I really miss the hustle and bustle of being on call for some crazy reason. And now I'm back here practicing and missing the ocean. So yeah, that constant battle. And that's why I've been on that crew website, just being like, oh, maybe I'll crew for when I get 2 months off here and there. Maybe I'll go crew.
You are living the dream. I love it. I've lived bus life, van life before, and I know midwives who live a mobile lifestyle. I've done travel midwifery for years, and I think you have as well. It's just a different breed. We are so curious. Let's try to break this down. You were an accountant first, which I love. I want to dig into that. But what was the call to midwifery for you? What were you like, I know I need to do this?
I was living in Calgary, Alberta, so in the prairies in Canada. I was doing accounting for Honda and BMW, And then I had my second daughter, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to go back to that. Being in the dealership industry, I didn't want to go back to that. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll become a doula or a photographer. So I went and did photography for a little while and was a professional photographer. And then I was a doula kind of on the side. And in Calgary in 2009, I caught a baby by accident in the hospital. The nurse ran out of the room. I caught the baby and I'm like, I have to do this. So then I looked into midwifery.
Awesome.
And then 7 years of university later, I catching babies.
That's amazing. And I love that you went to New Zealand. A lot of midwives in the US dream about going to New Zealand for midwifery. What was that like?
The reason why I went over to New Zealand, a lot of people ask me that, is because I had an accounting background before and I could apply to the UBC program in Canada, and they were only accepting 9 people a year. With my accounting background, I didn't think I had a chance to get into midwifery in Canada because most of them would have degrees in, women's studies, women's health, those kind of things. So then applied to New Zealand. I met somebody in Calgary doing my human anatomy, my prereqs for university. And she was like, my cousin's a midwife in New Zealand. I'm going to apply in New Zealand. And I'm like, me too then. So I came home, told my husband at the time, hey, would you move to New Zealand if I got into university? And then we ended up selling everything and moving overseas. So it was a whirlwind kind of crazy time.
Were you on North or South Island?
So I applied to the South Island, got into Otago in Dunedin, and then was there for 2 years, and then moved up north for just more births because Dunedin is a town of 150,000 people, and then 50,000 of those people are university students. So a lot of people go over there to do med school, dentistry, those kind of things.
Yeah. A lot larger population on the North Island, so you can catch more babies.
That's right. Yeah. And lots of Canadians over there. I met quite a few Canadians in New Zealand doing the exact same thing from all over the country. Because Dunedin program had 52 people in my class from all over New Zealand and international students. So now I kind of know midwives throughout all of New Zealand, which is really, really cool.
That's very special.
Yeah.
And did you end up staying and practicing at all, or as soon as you graduated, you came back to Canada?
No, as soon as I graduated, I came back, and then I moved back to Auckland. It was 2.5 years ago now. I moved back there and was practicing in Auckland in one of the hospitals. You can be kind of like a nurse on a ward as a midwife there. So that's what I was doing. And then in the meantime, got a sailboat and then ended up leaving the country again. Yeah, midwifery is lovely. You have a lot more options. Right? You can be immersed right in the hospital as a hospital employee midwife, or you can work out of the hospital. I find that they do work more as nurses when they're on the unit though, like under obstetricians. That's what I didn't like. We're a little bit more autonomous in Canada. So most of us have our own practices. We have hospital privileges here. So that's really nice. Canadian midwifery is just a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of job security and flexibility within that degree that comes, in Canada and New Zealand, you get this kind of full spectrum practice location ability. Whereas in the US, it's very segmented.
Yes, we have a lot of American midwives coming up to Canada to work because of that. They work in our universities, they are employees of the university training students. And then they have their own practices too. We do a lot of these practices that are GP midwives delivering out of hospital, bigger practices that take on a lot more people. So, they're taking on 40 to 60 a month, whereas a midwife practicing on your own, you would only take like 4 to 6 a month per midwife.
Those GP midwife practices, the client goes wherever the client needs.
That's right.
And the providers follow. So if they're low risk, they stay home. And if they become high risk, they go to the hospital.
Most of the bigger practices are done in hospital, to be very honest. We have the smaller midwifery practices like that are at a 25% kind of home birth rate. So we have, if a woman's choosing a home birth, a lot of times we would transfer them to a smaller practice.
That's very cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about the sailing bug that bit you. How did the sailing adventures find you, and what made you think I'll buy a boat?
So in Canada, I was doing like just crewing on, just a sail around Salt Spring kind of races here and there.
But like before that, even like, why did you love sailing? Like, how did that get into your blood?
Yeah, just from being a West Coast girl, I guess, in Vancouver, on the ocean, seeing all the sailboats. And when I went to New Zealand, 1 in 3 people own a boat there. So everybody's sailing. America's Cup is in New Zealand and all of the big fast races. So at the time, I was going out like fishing a lot in Auckland, and then a sailboat would whiz by, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. My last partner was just like, would you ever live on a boat? And I'm like, yeah, of course. That's like my dream to live on a boat. He's like, okay, well, let's buy a boat and start sailing. So that's kind of how, yeah, that's how I walked onto like a big catamaran. I was like, oh, this is the boat. It's spacious. We could sail around the world. That's how I got really into sailing. Our boat landed in New Zealand, and 2 weeks later, we were crossing an ocean. It was crazy. I was drawing on a piece of paper the sails, took it to one of the sail makers and was like, this is what I want the design to look like. And then he made it for me and we put it on the boat. Everyone thought we were stupid because people do little shakedown sails here and there. And we're like, nah, let's just cross an ocean. But it worked out for us. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And your partner knew how to sail as well. So you guys, you had the two of you.
No. He wasn't a sailor. He was more of a fisher kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You knew how to sail.
Yeah, I was the sailor.
Captain.
But then we had 2 crew that were helpful. So there's 4 of us doing night watches and stuff throughout that crossing.
Good. It's a long crossing from New Zealand to French Polynesia. Depending on the season, the weather is rough.
Most people go west around the world, and we were heading east. So it was kind of backward. It was a backward sail for sure. We had a big storm right before we left, and then we just kind of waited it out and started crossing.
2 weeks at sea, and the boat fared well?
Yeah, it did. It did really well. Where we landed in French Polynesia, that took 2 weeks, and we pulled in like with very little diesel or anything left on the boat, and had to wait for a shipment. So they only get fuel once a week at that island. So we had to wait for diesel before we could fuel up there. And then just because you need diesel to like pull into the ports.
Sailboats are kind of a misnomer. You sail during passages, hopefully with good wind, but you need to maneuver in tight spaces with marinas and harbors, and you need the fuel. What an epic trip. And how long did you end up living on your boat?
So a year, and did all of the little islands in French Polynesia.
All right. So now the tough question. How did you let go of your boat? Do you still have your boat? How did you get off of it?
No, sold it and bought a home in Canada. I wasn't ready to retire, like fully retire yet. And when you have a big boat like that, it's really hard to leave it. Like you either have to marina it. You can't just leave it on anchor, obviously, when you're gone. Those are the kind of things that I didn't really think about. You have this $1 million+ boat sitting out there. You have to have it somewhere safe. If it's moored, you worry about crime. You worry about people coming onto it and stealing stuff off of it, right? Like which happened in Moorea. We had like $1,000 fishing rod. Some guy we were on the boat and he came up to the boat and took it in the middle of the night. Those little things happen quite a bit. So you want to be on your boat if it's sitting out there.
Yeah, it is kind of an all or nothing choice. I just crossed the Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean, from the Andamans to Sri Lanka, and we got into Gal Harbor. We were one of 2 boats that were usable, not military. Like it's a tiny harbor. This is not a cruising destination, not like the Caribbean. It was a little sketch behind military entrance, so like nobody could get in, but there was just like these military guys running and having their breaks, not secure to leave. And the captain had to go do business in India. And so it was all like, who's going to come babysit the boat? Because it really can't be left alone. And that is a whole thing you have to worry about. It's an all or nothing for sure.
That's why you see these people living on their boats and sailing around the world, and they don't really leave their boats a lot of the time. Like I wanted to go over to Europe and you just can't leave it. You're just, and it's really hard to find somebody to watch your boat, right? Because they have to know about boats for one. And if it needed to be moved or if anything happened, like the water maker shut down, for example, you have to get somebody to fix it. So you have to be in a decent port to do that. You can't just leave it on anchor, because if a big storm comes through and you don't know how to lift up an anchor and put it down,
Yeah, it's dragging. Yeah, absolutely. And then there's all the constant maintenance.
Yeah, it's constant for sure.
Constant.
Even on a brand new boat, you have things not working, fixing everything, sails ripping.
Yeah. So the question needs to be asked, given how hard midwifery is and how hard sailing is, why are we like this? Why are we like this? Why do we love it?
It's like a good challenge. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good challenge. You know you're alive because it's not easy.
But those days when you're sitting there with a wine, watching the sun go down on a boat, that day is so amazing. And then I think with midwifery, like watching the sunrise as a baby's being born, so amazing, right? Just
So amazing.
feels like life. Really.
I've oftentimes thought that it is these edge of reality experiences that really do make you feel alive. And that must be why we do it. It is actually so similar, being so immersed in the elements. And I think of a laboring woman as an element, the fifth sacred thing.
For sure.
Starhawk says, yeah, for sure. Well, so Allison, this has been like, we get a gist of the whirlwind, and people who follow my journey know that I'm also kind of like a whirlwind. I have some tougher questions for both of us, not just for you. I'm going to be in the hot seat with you. I guess I have some tough questions. I am asking myself these things on a regular basis. If you take conventional wisdom, and there's a lot of advice that midwives don't always heed, I'm wondering why this stick-to-itiveness, keep going. Those are phrases said in our collective culture. Work hard, persistence. I don't know, stick-to-itiveness keeps coming to me, even though I don't even know if that's a word. But we don't like you had the accountant job at a reputable, like whatever, and you just sort of let go. And I guess my question is like, how did, not just why, because why feels powerful, but more of how did you know? How did you know to let go? Or how did you know when to let go?
Are you meaning of my past career?
Like or like a couple of times you let go of the past career and jumped into this new amazing job that required 7 years of education. And then you went back to be employed at a different country. And then you went, and bought a boat and sailed in Polynesia, and then you sold your boat. I mean, there's been a lot of let goes, and you're not following a traditional path. How did this happen for you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in being able to go with that tide, like this isn't serving me anymore. Okay, let's go this way for a little while. With change comes turbulence that you feel for the change. I've never regretted just going that different direction. So I think that I'm really comfortable with change, for one. I'm really comfortable going, okay, I can just buy another boat and go back to French Polynesia if I wanted to, right? I always say that to people that are looking to make this huge change. Okay, well, yes, it's going to take time and work to move to New Zealand, for example. Sell everything, move to New Zealand. That takes a lot of work. But what happens if it doesn't work out? Because a lot of people say that to me. Like, what happens if you get there and you're like, I don't want to be here anymore? Then it's time and money, but you can always come back. I always have that belief that you can always just kind of slip right back into your old life. A lot of people have this box-like thinking. I'm going to stay in this job. I'm going to do this thing until I retire. And what happens when they retire? They usually just die or get comfortable and cozy and then are living on this crazy budget because now they can't afford it.
Or have a panic attack that everything's different.
It's that box-like thinking. And we see a lot of people getting to that retirement age going, what am I going to do with my life if I'm then retired? I'm just going to have the same day-to-day monotony, right? Just doing the same thing. And I don't think of life like that. I just think of what's the next big thing? How many things can I get packed into this life?
Yeah.
And my dad died really young, like he died at 56. So I'm always thinking, okay, if I die at 56, what do I want to do? Because life isn't guaranteed.
Not even one day. And launching into the unknown and choosing the less traveled path is certainly one way to know you're alive. And like you were saying, I think midwives are so primed for this. Like there is, like every birth we walk into is the unknown. We are like living in the unknown all the time. That actually, I think we're quite good at this, but it goes so counter to what society suggests that I think a lot of midwives second guess themselves. I think you and I, like, we've kind of thrown ourselves to the wind and been like, we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
I get a lot of comments. I'm sure you did too. People are like, why, how are you so crazy? Or like, where are you now? A lot of people are like, it's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? They're like, no, it's where in the world is Augustine, you know?
That's what all my friends say when I call them. What country are you in? That's usually what they're asking. If they haven't heard from me for a month or whatever, they are very surprised.
Where are you now?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's some real magic and beauty in what we've been able to do. I think it makes some people really nervous or overwhelmed, and some people kind of jealous. I feel like I've gotten a lot of weird jealousy for the choices that I've made. I look so free.
Yeah.
Because I am actually really free.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true for you.
Yes, I a lot of times feel free. I think a lot of things that I do just scare people. Like they just are like, how do you sit in that uncertainty of being in a different country that you don't know? They act kind of jealous when I show them a beach picture because, all of them want to go away. And they're like, I sell everything and move to Mexico and live on a beach. I have actually done that. I've gone to have that lifestyle, and that's not where your answers are. If you think that you can just get rid of your career and sell everything and then go sit on a beach in Mexico and you think you'll be happy, there's more to life than just sitting on a beach and being so burnt out. So I think a lot of people are burnt out, and midwives in general too, right? A lot of us are just burnt out from life, burnt out from everything.
I read recently that healthcare jobs in general have some of the highest burnout, obesity, breast cancer, and divorce rates. And I would say that midwives are very, very high, even above the standard healthcare assessment. Lots of the midwives in the UK are really making it very public about how devastating it is to life when you feel so burnt out and exhausted, Do you think that the lifestyle that you and I both choose, which is very informed by freedom, do you think that spares us from burnout?
No, I think it makes it more. Yes, I've had moments of great relaxation and all that kind of stuff, but I find that in this day and age, especially being on call for long periods, burnout is just a thing. I know most midwife friends of mine don't want to be in the career that they're in. They love it to death, but it's really hard for a life-work balance. I've really tried hard to have that life-work balance. Every practice that I go into, I'm like, okay, how much time off can I have a year? I'm more focused on the time off that I'll get. That is why I've never been solo as a solo practitioner. I've always had a big team. It's really important to me for my time off. And I love the women that I get to work with, but I don't think we're doing them any good by being super burnt out. I know when I come on for a woman, I know I'm giving my best self.
Yeah, definitely. I would say almost kind of the opposite. I think that the life that we live might be a reaction to burnout. I feel like I've chosen such big leaps around the globe and into side hustles like construction management and sailing on cruise, just because I feel like I need that kind of escape from the on-call full-timeness of midwifery.
Yeah.
And one way to combat that is to leap into something else. You're not going to be any different sitting on a beach than you are wherever you are. Everything goes with you. That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
I've just done a 12,000 kilometer journey in the last week, a lot of it on trains. It is such a marvel to be in different country, different currency, different languages, different systems, and downloading different apps so you can download different tickets to different things. It's like, it's such an interesting thing to drop into other cultures. And it really helps to broaden my awareness and my perspective, helps me to have so much more compassion for myself and for everyone else. When you zoom that far out, you really get to see that everyone is doing the very best that they can. I feel like that's one benefit that this very global world view has given me. What would you say are any other benefits from being a global citizen like you are?
The adventure is great. The friends around the world, I think, is a benefit. There's a lot of positives. There's a lot of positives to seeing different culture. I have a way more heightened awareness of cultural differences between my clients. Canada's so multicultural, so I have a very different perspective than I ever would have staying in Vancouver.
Humility, cultural humility.
That's right.
When you get to see other cultures. Yeah. Well, let's drop into the real challenges, because I think that can be helpful. One of the biggest challenges I've faced as a global citizen is that while you do have friends all over the world, you don't get to see them very much.
For sure. Those in-person catch-ups are what I miss most about being out in the middle of nowhere, French Polynesia, right? You can have this, and as lovely as this is when you're FaceTiming with a wine or coffee, it's great, but there's also a disconnect. And it's not the same as giving someone an in-person hug. I find being away through those big life challenges, if someone has their father passing away or their mom or just going through something with their kids, it's really hard to be there online. I find that that's the biggest, the loneliness that you feel when it's this magic of, yay, I'm doing this awesome thing. I'm on a boat and amazing adventure. And then there's this deep rooted loneliness that comes along with that. Was the biggest negative for me. And having a home to come home to that's grounding, that's here, I think that I've solved that problem, keeping roots here and then adding the adventures. It's hard to do, but
I feel that that's a real dichotomy. Roots and wings, right? That's the challenge of which am I using more of. I think we do need both. When you make close friends all over the world, you're only with one of them at a time. That's like one of the challenges.
Yeah.
I'm missing some good friends right now. It's always so interesting. Can we dive a little bit into partner world while you're a global citizen? Is that an okay topic?
Yeah. Everything's on the table.
That is, a partnership is oftentimes a casualty of midwifery. Certainly was for me.
I find midwives have one of two partners. They have either a super supportive partner or an absent partner, and there's no in between. So sometimes,
and the supportive partner almost wants to be a midwife themselves.
Yeah, he's usually one of the girls, right? Yeah,
exactly. Sure. There's very little in between.
So I haven't found my balance yet with that. I've been married a couple times, had a couple marriages fail, and I just think it's hard, especially when it's hard dating someone here that's grounded, because I have such wanderlust and that sense of adventure. It's hard to have a partner meet that. Right? Or you just find a really supportive partner that lets me go and do that. That's also kind of where I'm at now. Maybe I don't need somebody that's going to follow me around the world, but I need somebody that will support me in that sense of adventure too.
It is such a unique proposition.
I find people as they get older, they want somebody for dinners. They want to be around somebody all the time, especially men. Men need somebody around them more. And women, as they get older, they just want to.
And we're doing this. I read an interesting statistic that married men live the longest. but single women live longer.
And doesn't that make sense?
Yeah. My solution is to have several supportive partners in different locations. So I'll just drop in when I need that partner experience.
Yes, that could be a potential, but also I think that you're always missing someone too.
Yeah, same as the friend problem. It's such a conundrum to be this adventurer, wanderer, traveler. What's the word you use? Wanderlust? What do you use?
Adventurous spirit, I guess. My family would say never satisfied.
Mm.
Always looking for something better, never wanting to settle. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't
Yeah.
I think that I just want to fit as much into this life as I can. Nobody has to understand it but me. Still learning and kind of figuring it out as I go.
I mean, that is life. As soon as you have it figured out, you're probably done. Right? That's what it is. Given this truth, I feel the same way. I'm still learning every day, and I still have so many adventures to go on. And I, from a very small child, had this concept that it like time was running out. Like I had to go do it or else it was going to be gone. I had that really clear feeling. What else can I fit into this trip? Spain is right next to Portugal, so I could go to Portugal too.
Yeah.
Like I always figuring it out. But given all of that, like what's next for you? Because like we've also addressed, there's this clear aching for home, for stability, for connection.
Yeah.
What's next? What's next for you?
So now I am kind of settled here with a home. My daughter lives with me, so she's financially independent, but she lives at my house. And then I can leave the dog with her and I can travel. So I think that right now I have that balance that I've been looking for a long time. Yeah.
That's cool. What's the next travel location for you?
Oh, well, I was just looking into Maldives. So just diving. I'm a Revo diver, so I try to fit in as much diving in 1 year as I possibly can. That's really important. Yeah. And then sailing. Yes, probably a sail trip. My kids are at the ages now where they just want to really work and, save money and try to better themselves. So I don't feel like I have to bring them along on those travels with me anymore. Yeah. So just getting out and seeing as much as I can.
When you have a healthcare background and you've been sailing off and on for a lot of years and you're a good cook, like they want you on the road.
That's right. Yes. We often looked for a cook on our boat. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Provision.
And I'm not 22, so like, I'm a desirable crew member.
Yeah, for sure.
I can make provisional lists and menus for weeks. I was a professional chef in college to put myself through college.
So that's at the top of your sailing resume. Provisioning is one of those things that's so crazy. For that trip, I did all of our meals like frozen in our freezer. Just all of the meals were done before. So I'd pull them out, put it in an Instapot,
Smart.
That's the best thing that I did. Then I didn't have to.
That makes sailing a lot more possible because especially for those long passages, you can't be down in the galley trying to cook in the middle.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Do you have any final thoughts or questions or anything to kind of bring us home in this very random adventure focused episode?
Have you met other midwives that are kind of doing the same sailing thing as you?
No, I haven't yet.
No.
I haven't. That's why I was so excited to get your message. Like I said, I know some midwives who do van life or bus life.
Yeah.
And they live mobile, on the land. I know of one midwife I think she sailed out of Galveston, Texas, but maybe it was Florida. I had been in touch with her. She had just started sailing catamarans, but I believe it was her husband's love and he died very unexpectedly. And so I don't think she's continued.
Yeah.
I don't know too many sailing midwives, but I know one now.
Yes, you do.
I'd love to sail together someday. We'll figure it out. I'm headed towards boat life myself. I'm inspired by your story and just jumping into the wild yonder. I love that.
Well, if you ever need someone to babysit your boat, that knows how to sail.
That's right.
I would love to get back out on the water. It's just not going to be within the next 2 or 3 years. That's what I'm kind of looking at. I want to get all of this career stuff out of the way. And
yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, if there are any sailing midwives who happen to watch this and you're on the YouTube version of this, please comment below, because we want to hear from you and we want to find you so we can all sail together.
I would love to do a crossing with all women. That would be like, they'd have to be all really chill women to make that work. But I find sailing women in general are really easygoing to get along with on a boat. Yeah.
I agree. I've found that as well. It's a special thing. And the sexes get even more, I don't know, men sailors are a whole breed in and of themselves, aren't they?
Yes. I do have a definite dream to get a bunch of women together. That would be amazing.
That'd be epic. So
Total.
epic.
We just need to find somebody with a big enough boat so everybody can have their own space.
Well, here's to getting back out on the water for both of us. And then here's to an all women's crew. Maybe we'll make it happen.
Yeah, put it out there.
Well, Allison, it was a total pleasure to just chew the fat with you tonight and today, wherever we are in the world. And I'm really glad that you reached out, and congrats on all that you've accomplished. I'll definitely be following your story.
Yeah, definitely. Let's keep connected for sure. It was great to meet you.
Likewise. Bye, friend.